Hey y'all, I am back again with another video. So this is going to be training video part 1 because there's a part 2 to this, but the Papa hasn't released me to speak on part 2 yet. So we're going to do part 1 and I'm going to try to make this one really quick so I don't run out of space. Let's see. So initially I told you guys that I did Uber Eats when I left my ex. I did Uber Eats. And it was cool. I really enjoyed Uber Eats. Of course, whatever you do, the nefarious thought is gonna come. But it was a blessing for me because it was in passing, y'all. You know, it wasn't like, and the people love me. Some of them love me because I wouldn't put their food on the ground. This is for some of you Uber Eats people. I would take a paper towel and put their food. I would buy some paper towels and put their food on a paper towel because I just don't like food on the ground. I just don't think that's, I don't know. I just don't like it on the ground. But if you cool with that, that's fine. But they loved it. Like, you know, they would give me good reviews. And so I decided, like, some years ago, I wanted to do trucking. And I told you guys that, you know, I talked to my ex at the time, but he didn't want me to do it. I wanted to do Uber too. When I was there, you know, don't complain about not working when I'm telling you what I want to do, but you don't want me to do that because of jealousy or because of control or whatever. And so that's just the truth of the matter. You know, I spoke so well of him. You look at my old videos and I spoke well of him. Even after, you know, he would mistreat me, I'll still speak well. My family didn't even know that he was the way that he was. Get that? And so, because I never went around bad mouthing him. Unless it was real bad, like, let me move on. I'm not going to go too loud. So, okay, so I decided to go to this one trucking company earlier that year of I want to say it was in 2022. Earlier part of that year I decided to go with Prime. So I had finished everything and I was going to go with Prime. And then the lady I spoke to, she was so rude to me that I started feeling some kind of way that day. And then she said she lost my application. I really started feeling some kind of way that day. And so later that night I was like, I said, I'm not supposed to go to that one. So I had already started studying my pre-trip during that time because I was going to do that darn thing. And so I emailed, I don't remember who I emailed somebody there and was like, look, I think I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but they was like, I respect you for letting me know, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't go. So I started feeling some kind of way. I'm like, Papa, you told me this is what you want me to do. So, you know, he was like, I got something better for you. It's like, okay, Papa, okay, Papa. And so, y'all, okay, let me straighten up. Okay. So, I decided to go with Schneider. I ended up going to the Schneider in North Carolina, which it was a really good school. I'm going to give them that. I can't knock them on that. They had a really good training program. As far as Schneider was they were very particular about safety. And I really like that because I want to do it. For me, I want to do it right and I want to remain safe while doing it. And so when I say that they taught safety, they got an A+ on safety. And so we started out at the classroom. And so for me, I'm always quiet. When I'm in public, the most I talk is on here. When I'm in public, I don't talk. I don't have anything to say. Like, when you try to talk to people and try to interact, they reject you. So I don't really I'd rather talk to my papa, and that's it. And if I like you, then I'll talk a little bit, and then that's it. Like, as far as you asking me personal questions and all that, don't get your feelings hurt, because I know how to answer you now. Like, before I feel bad and be telling people the truth and telling them all this, that ain't none of your business. People need to stop being nosy and do your own business in your own household. And so, let me get back into this. And so, on the very first day, the enemy tried to come. There was an instructor there. And when he walked in, he fell and broke his arm the very first day I was there. And so I was like, Papa, was he going to be difficult? And Papa told me yes. Correct. I haven't said correct. He told me yes. And so the entire time I was in training, I didn't see him, but I'm going to tell you when I saw him and what happened when I saw him. And so once we did our classroom work, we did the little tablet and all that, we had to start doing our pre-trip. Where our pre-trip is where we walk around our truck and we call out the parts, and you know, we don't really, you don't have to go in depth. You just need to know how to get your truck to the mechanic. Like if something's off, like I kind of know, like if it sounds funny or if it smells funny or it's running funny, I know those things, like something's off. Or even when I check, if you see a nail in your tire, or I've had a lot of broken mud flaps, or just I had a lot of craziness going on, you know, at points and times. And so, but the Papa kept me. Not one thing happened. Not one hair on my head was harmed. That's how well he keeps you. And so, let me stretch my leg. Hang on, y'all. Okay, so so when it was my turn to call out the parts on the truck, I started calling them all out because I had already studied. I already knew all my parts pretty much. I just had to scale back some of the ones that we didn't need to know as many. And so, well, we need to know a lot, but not as many as Prime, I think, because it was in a different order than Prime. And so everybody stopped and they looked at me. The guys were embarrassed. And one witch there, she was a witch. She was like, well, that's not called that. It's called something else. I said, well, I call it a mud flap, and that's what I'm going to call it. And so I went and asked the instructor. I said, y'all, I was quiet the whole time, but if you jug at me, you're going to get soldier. And so this was like on down the line once we kept doing our pre-trip. And so I kept calling it a mud flap, and I passed my pre-trip very first time. So it was okay to say mud flap, but she just wanted me. That's that control. That's that witchcraft and that witchery and that black magic and sorcery. They want to control you and tell you what you should say to see if they can control you or see if you're weak. And so that's how a lot of people test me. They tell me what to say, and if I say what I want to say or give them soldier, then they back up and then they don't like me no more. Cool. And so it annoys me when people think that you can't think for yourself. I want to think how Jesus tells me to think, not how you in the flesh like me tell me to think. And so I told her to call it what you want. I'm gonna call it what I just called it. That's exactly what I said to her. And so she was like the oldest one in there. I think she was like in her 50s, and she said she told the guys, because she was with the guys, told them that she had been trying to do it for years, but she was crazy as a spray roach, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She was off her rocker, and I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. And so the battle began with her when I told her, when she tried to challenge me or tried to, you know. And so she would sit in front of me. Like even when I was in the church building, a group of witches would sit behind me and a group of witches would sit in front of me to distract me so I couldn't hear the sermon. But like I told you guys, I can be doing 4 things at one time. I can be multitask. That's where that police department come from. I was able to multitask and get things done. So that's something that I feel that God gave me to be able to do, because I can't sit my behind still sometimes because I'm just doing 50 million things at one time. And so we went to class this particular day, and she said that she was a pastor, is what she said, to try to get me to trust her. And so when we went to class this day, she told the guy that was sitting by her, she was like, stop looking at me. And I looked, I'm like, okay. And so the white guy that was sitting by me, he was like, he wasn't looking at you. I don't think he was looking at you, is what he said to her. And so she got mad because he said that. And I'm like, well, why you keep sitting by this dude every day? You just told him you like his hair. So why are you sitting by him every day if you didn't want him to look at you? That was a distraction. And so she just started acting crazier and crazier. And so the ones in the back was like real loud. You couldn't hear. Y'all, I had to check all of them before I left. You know, in one way or another, I had to say something. I got war in my heart because it was getting on my nerves. And it annoys people when you're quiet. Why? Why you get mad because somebody's quiet? I'm an introvert, and I'm cool with that. If you're an extrovert, cool. That's you. But some people tend to reject introverts because we prefer to keep to ourselves. We're quiet. The guy that was sitting next to me, he says, where are you from? I was like, I told him where I was from. He's like, well, you know, I like you from the East Coast. I was like, what does that mean? I guess he was saying that we kind of like crunk, or some of them could be kind of loud, or I don't know what he was trying to say, but I just was like real quiet, and I'm reserved, and so I've always been that way. And so I said, well, that's how I get to know people. I observe. It's better to be quiet. I observe people to know if and I said this out loud so everybody can hear, for me to know if I want to get to know you. I put people in groups. If you good, cool, not cool, or your problems. And he was like, oh, that's good. And so I know everybody heard it, because when I do speak, people get quiet because I'm always quiet. And so let me move on. So a couple weeks on down, she started eating garlic on the bus, y'all. Whole garlic on the bus. Some of them would want to come and sit near me. And because for me, I really don't eat during the day. Like, I drink coffee. That's like pretty much it. And then I eat whenever I stop. You know, I don't. People always assume because I was thicker that I ate candy. I wouldn't eat food, but I would eat candy. But I felt at this point that I was like an addiction to candy. And the Papa delivered me from that. And so I do eat it periodically, but not like I was eating it before. And so we went to class probably like a couple weeks later, and she started speaking in tongues. Y'all, I felt my armor come on. I started praying in the spirit too, baby. I don't know what you saying, but I know what I'm saying. And I know no weapon that is formed will prosper. I know that. And I know that whatever you try to do, that is going to fall on your head. That I do know. And I've been telling the Papa, let every tongue and every deed that you condemn and destroy it, oh God. And he tell me when he answers me. And I say, thank you for answering me, Papa. And so she was talking to this guy. It's like she was trying to seduce the guys too. That was another thing she was doing. It was just a lot of witchery going on, seduction, seducing, and a lot of filth, the filthy talking and talking on sex and all. It just was a lot of filth going on. And so the Papa blocked it. Whatever she was trying to do, he blocked it. Of course, I know that he did, because he always allow you to go certain places for a reason. And so she was testing me, because she heard me praying in the spirit, and I bet she shut her mouth too. She stopped, because she knew that I had the Holy Spirit in me. She knew that Jesus was with me. And I'm going to tell you about that. She felt it. So she was testing me to see how strong I was in spirit. That's what they do. They test you to see how strong you are in spirit. Okay? And so after that, every time I would see her, I would go the other way. Some of the guys, it was a couple of the guys that I really liked there, that we were real cool. And she latched onto them because she saw that we were cool. We started doing our pre-trip and all of that together. And I went the other way. Anytime she came, sat by me, I'll get up, move, go somewhere else. I didn't want to be fooled up with her at all. And so I don't play no games when it comes to that. When he said come out from among them, I don't play no games. We ain't friends. We ain't nothing. Don't say nothing to me. You just tried to curse us. Don't say nothing to me. And so she came and approached me and said, I don't remember what she said to me that day. And I don't know what I said back to her. I don't know what I said to that lady, but I went and got my butt on the bus. Like, they will pick us up for the bus. Like, I didn't drive every day. I remember reading, it was like, it's not a good idea to drive every day, which I didn't. I think I ended up driving probably like the last week, maybe. And so, let me see what else she was doing. Okay, so I just told y'all about that. And so, the other witches started coming out. It was a lot of nationalities there. And some of the guys was real weird. Y'all, I go through this phase where when I'm around a lot of people and it's something serious that I'm trying to learn, I dress like a bag lady, deliberately. I don't really wear makeup. I dress like a bag lady. And my last pair of contacts tore before I got there. And so I had to wear my old glasses and still couldn't hardly see nothing, but I had to wear my old glasses. And so I literally looked like a bag lady. And so we started, after we did our pre-trip, once you get past your pre-trip, you start practicing your backing. Y'all, every time I would practice my backing, once I got it, I would hit it. it pissed the witches off. So what they would start doing, they would start walking in front of the truck when it was my turn to back. Get that? They would want to go before me, and I would feel it in the spirit. This is how I know people are witches or wickedness or nefarious stuff. I feel it in the spirit. And so once I feel it in the spirit, I handle it accordingly how the Papa wants me to. I pray accordingly how he wants me to pray. You know, I need him to move. When I need him to move, yeah, I go hard. I go real hard. And so I knew that I was under attack with backing, because how I knew was every time I would practice it, I would get it. But when it was time for the test, I wouldn't get it. And I was getting more frustrated. And I would sit there and I would pray. I was crying because I was upset, because I knew I had it. I knew that I could do it. And so what happened was I had to take my test, my backing test, 3 times. And I said, Papa, you told me that this is what you wanted me to do. You told me that this, I just reminded him of what he told me. And so the 3rd time, when it was time for my test, the witches would come. Actually, the 2 witches. One of them, she said in front of us that she was going to call her aunt in the islands in Trinidad and put a hex on the other one that I'm talking about. She said something about her elbow will be touching her knees or something like that. I said, well, from me, I believe in Jesus Christ and his power, is what I said. So I made an enemy with her when I said that. I'm going to tell you what she did. And so once I, let me see. Okay, so we went off for 2 weeks. Once we practiced our backing a little bit, we practiced driving a little bit, and then we went off with our trainer on the road for about a couple weeks. I think it was like 2 weeks. It's up to him. They can either keep you longer or shorter. He was crazy as all that crap crazy. He was crazy. And he said he was a pastor too. Let me tell you how they do. They'll say they're a pastor, but their actions show the total opposite. He was so mean, y'all. He didn't train. I already knew how to drive. Driving comes easy for me. If I wanted to drive a manual truck, I would drive a manual truck, because I feel like, hey, I can learn anything. With Jesus Christ, nothing is impossible. That's what I know. And so he upset me because he told me we had to log out. He was showing us how to do the tablet when you're out on the road. We was going through the motions, which he didn't really do it because he was doing his job. As far as he had a dedicated route, which was a Walmart dedicated route, and he was focused on doing his job and not training. And so I really didn't get any training. I didn't really do any backing. Like, I backed maybe twice. Once to a dock. He backed up to the dock to straight line back. And then when we were at the distribution center, he just told us to stay on the line and back up straight. But that's not how you back. You're not gonna back. You got to maneuver this thing to get that in the hole. And so I didn't learn anything. So he wanted to talk about God the whole time, his version of God. So he got it. He got a whole bunch of sermons from Jesus Christ himself. And he would always get quiet because he was like in his 60s. People go by your age, but don't despise my youth. Me and the Papa been rolling a long time. 40 years. 40 years. Or before then, before I was in my mother's womb. And so 40 something years. And so he will always talk about death. Get that. He would always talk about death because he said he died and came back. And sex with his wife. That's what he would always talk about, which was very uncomfortable. And so, and then he would twist scriptures on top of that. And so one particular day, he told us to log out. He told me to log out. I keep saying us because another female came. The boot thief came. She was wicked and evil. She was attacking while I was there. She was attacking with the backing as well, because I kept feeling a breaking. Every time we would go to the room and then we would leave out the room, I felt a breaking. So she was doing her little witchery in the room when I wasn't in there, or when I was in the bathroom. I had to throw away some of my clothes just a couple weeks ago because there were some of the items that I had from training. Get that? This is how nasty people are. This is why I don't get attached to things. Because for me, I'm that strong of spirit where I can touch something and I can tell you that somebody cursed that item, you need to get rid of it. Get that. And so once she was nasty, we didn't really talk too much. She got angry because one of the guys there told me to tell her hi. She was real mad about that for some reason. And so I didn't like her, but I tried to be cordial. But I felt this nastiness about her. She was very nasty, very nasty. And so anyway, the day I was about to log off, I logged off 10 hours DOT break. He went off. He's like, you're not going to be off for 10 hours. You're going to be off for about 16 hours. That's falsifying documents. I took a breath. I said, first of all, I have integrity. And this is how we were trained to do it. I said it in a calm manner, but I was so mad. Y'all, I said good night and hopped out his truck. After that, I think I only had like maybe 5 days left. So I tried to keep my cool because he can say, oh, no, they need to stay here longer or whatever. And so, and then that's another thing he did. The 3 things he did, he bragged all the time about how much money he have, how much money he made, his wife and sex, and his version of the Bible, which was incorrect. And I kept correcting him. And so, when it was time to come back, y'all, I bought an extra bag. How about the elevator? I'm the only one that got searched at the airport. I got searched at the airport. She said, oh, I think it's your shirt. It might have been the bobby pins in my hair and my shirt because I had on a bling dot shirt. And then she searched me. This lady searched me at the airport. And then on the way back, how about the goddamn elevator was broke? And I got all these darn bags. Do you think that helped me? No, she did not. She was so nasty. And she had to ride back to the hotel with me. I bumped gospel rap the whole time. When she got out, she said her head was hurting. That's another thing we just say. The head hurt when you pray hard or music, real Christian music, it irritates them. And so I was like, cool, because I don't want to talk to you no way. I'm done with you. And so she went and hung out with her little girls because they made sure they laughed out. They was all laughing loud when they passed my room door. And the next day in class, she was trying to talk to me and I wasn't talking to them. I just separated myself again. I was just quiet again. Once I saw everybody, I was kind of happy to see them because I hadn't seen them. I was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then I was quiet again. So she comes up to me to try to interact again because she know that I don't peep though. I know what she about. Will you take me to the store? I don't remember what I told her, but I didn't have no intentions of taking her to the store, and I didn't. And so, and she didn't have to ask me because the girls she was talking to when we returned, they could have took her, but she wanted to get back in my car. I'm gonna tell you why. Whenever I was in training, I would get very sleepy. Once I got on the plane, I was very, very sleepy, like I was drugged sleepy, and I didn't have anything to drink. I think they gave out crackers or something. I might have got a cracker and I kept it, but as far as getting something to drink, I didn't get anything to drink, I don't think. I didn't. And so I could not stay awake. So that's what one of the curses that they did, to make you drowsy. So when you're driving, you fall asleep. You get that? And so whenever I was practicing driving with her there, I would get so drowsy I couldn't stay awake. So I would go sit in the back when it was my turn to drive. Like one morning I didn't really want to drive first because I was real sleepy. So I went and sat on the back. Y'all, I'm sitting up sleep with my neck bobbing sleep. And so because we did have to get up super early, but nah. When I realized it was happening I'm like a whole year down the line and it's still happening, that was an attack. And so once I rebuked it and prayed in the spirit, I yarned and it was released and done. The Papa delivered me from that attack because that's all it was. He allowed certain things from me to know so I can tell you that people are doing wickedness to you. They're cursing you to your face. And so every place you go is a training ground. You need to get the lessons in it. And I choose to get the lessons in it because I'm not going to keep going through the same thing over and over again. Not when I know I walk in the power and authority of Jesus Christ. Don't come back now asking for help because you didn't want to listen before. because you know, when you're a little timid and all of that, I'm the most humble person you'll ever want to meet. But people don't know that. They assume the worst about me. Time they see me, they assume the worst about me. And that's cool, because that's how the papa hides you. And then when it's time, then everybody love you. Get that. And so, let me move on. So, we had all nationalities there, like from Africa, India, Asia, what's my Spanish countries? Everywhere. We've had all nationalities here. So, some of the guys with me, they feel like they can make me fall in love with them or something. I don't know. They do some kind of witchery and think that they can make me fall in love with them or something. I don't know. And so this one guy, I know he was from Africa because he was speaking in this language. He literally stood right in front of me, y'all. I didn't get scared. It didn't like trip me out or nothing like that. And just stared like he was like he can see my spirit. He just stood there and just stared in a trance at me. And sometimes I get a little uncomfortable, but then that soldier rise up, and then I begin to pray in the spirit. And when I pray in the spirit, whether it's silent or out loud, it breaks whatever. And I don't even think I had to get up. I think he eventually snapped out of it and walked away or whatever. But after that, they started coming hard. Like, they would be on the phone speaking in their language, and because the girl did the same. Let me tell you what she did. Okay, so anyway, on the third try, the first witch, the crazy one, she came over to where I was. I was about to do my third test. She started arguing with my instructor right before my test deliberately. Her, the boot thief, and the other girl from Trinidad that did the witchery, and then it was a whole bunch of other people with them that did it as well. A lot of guys. It was guys there that did it too. It's just I was on the training ground, battlefield, y'all. I'm telling you. And so she started arguing with them. The day it was my third time, it was time for me to take my test. What I did was, the papa said, "Don't say nothing to nobody." I was obedient to that. I didn't say nothing to nobody. People spoke to me that day. I waved and I went and stood over in the corner. My third day, no, was it my second? It was either my second or the last day. The guy that broke his arm in the beginning, I was walking over to, because everybody was talking to him, and I went to walk over there. Do y'all know he took off? Like, he just took off real quick, like fear, and took off. And so when it was the third time, I'm about to jump around. The third time, he to take my test. The third time to take my test, she came and argued with my instructor. Prior to that, no, let me go back. Prior to my third time, let me go back. Okay. And then the man said, "Oh, y'all can't wear perfume in here either." And I wear perfume all the time, like for many, many years. He's like, "You can't wear perfume, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, you is just real weird. And so he said he's a pastor or whatever he was. So both of us had a close call. We were in Texas. We did our training in Texas, baby. Listen, I done been some places that, Texas is not the only place. There are a lot of places that they drive like, they drive, woo-wee. And so we were there, and I can't remember how it happened. I think for her, somebody swung their door open and she didn't move over. And he was like, F, and threw his clipboard on thing. And I was like, man, didn't you just say you're a pastor? And he did that twice. And I'm like, you got to walk this thing. I know I have my little Christian, my little believer Bible words such as ass and hell and damn. But baby, that's a whole nother level right there. And so that was a little country, but let me get back into it so I can get this done. Okay, y'all. So then for me, somebody cut like right at the nose of the truck, and I was able to, maneuver that thing and slow down at the same time. He was like, "Well, you drive." He told me that you drive really well, is what he told me. He told her she can't drive. He told me she need to work on her driving, and I need to work on my backing, which really I didn't have no issue with backing. It was more of an attack. So the other girl from Trinidad, she called the witch that she said she was going to call for the other lady. And she called a warlock. Both. And had them on video phone, on video chat, and brought it over to me and was like, say hi. And me, hi. Like a lollipop. And so, I'm going to get back to that. And so, I'm going to tell you how God dealt with her before I even left. Like, he don't play about me. And Jesus does not play about me, if you don't know by now. And so, and I told him, I said, I know I will get it in time. That I know. I know that I will get it in time. Every job I've ever had has been difficult. And I learned it. And I knew it like the back of my hand, could do it in my sleep. And so, and that's all Jesus. That's it. Not me, but him. And so, anyway, I told you about that already. Let me move on. Let's see. I told you about the plane incident. She was acting so nasty to me. So when we made it back, I told you about all of that. So when she was getting on the bus, when we all made it back, somebody on that floor, it was all students. It was that little group. I don't know which one of them it was, but somebody was next door having sex. And they was a bunch of filth buckets, because all they were talking about the entire time was sex and a bunch of filthy cursing and smoking goddamn cigarettes. So of course I'm gonna move all the way on the other side. I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that. And so I'm gonna tell y'all I spazzed out. So I'll get to that in a minute. So once the boot thief was getting on the bus, now this Caucasian male, he helped me on the bus, but he grabbed my hand and I pulled myself up and he held my hand and pulled me up. That's the way that you do that thing. She was supposed to be married. This other younger guy there, he picked her up from behind, picked her butt up from behind, y'all, like she's not married. And she looked dead at me like she was embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed with me. Hey, what you do in the dark comes to the light. I don't care who you are. And so let me move on. And so this was when we returned to testing. After testing, it got very interesting. The battle increased after testing. And that's because she was able to be around me and know that what you see is the truth. I'm not out clubbing with you. We not out doing no filth. We back in. We get up early and back in early. The only place we went was to Walmart and pick up some food. And that's it. And so, I guess I was boring. But it's what it is. I needed to study. I didn't have time for that. I was there for a purpose, and that's what it was going to be. And so, I must be talking too loud because he keep getting in and out of his truck. But I'm going to finish this video today, goddarn it. I am. Let me move on. So, the battle increased. But I had a lot of practicing before. Like, the papa was, like, getting me ready for the final battle, which was, like, my last test. Like, he was getting me ready. Because if I wouldn't have listened to him, I wouldn't have passed. You only get 3 tries, and that's it. After that 3rd try, they're going to send you back home. And I don't know what happens after that, but I know they send you back home. And I don't know if you have to start over. I don't know. But I was not going to do that. I was determined to not do that. When I know I was... What frustrated me and made me angry was because I know I had it. Every time I practiced it, I hit it every time. But when it was time for the test, that's when the witches came. And then they would make sure that they go before me or walk in front of me. And so another person witnessed her doing a ritual on that dirt where we were practicing as well. Witnessed quite a few things that happened. And she was showing them, the guys, her boobs as well on her phone. So it just was a lot of foolery going on. But you know, I'm going to keep myself separate. And if you keep trying me, you're going to get soldier real quick. Don't let the sweetness fool you either. Because I am very kind and loving and sweet. But if you cross me in a nefarious dog way, you're going to get soldier. And that's just what it is. My papa said love and war. And that's what it is. And so, okay. Let me see what else, y'all. I just said all of this unknowingly. Okay, so the first time I took my test, I ran out of time. That was the first time. The second time, I ran out of time again. I think they give you like 35, 45 minutes, something like that. But it's, when you don't really know how they do it, it's kind of like getting your own rhythm. It's getting your own rhythm down of what works for you, because you're doing it the way that they teach it, but it's what works for you. So I do it how it works for me and able to hit it. And so, so I was that second time I slammed the door, I was like Little Red Angry Bear. And one of my instructors, I liked him so much. He had a little, he wears little cowboy boots, and I probably shouldn't say his name, but I liked them. I would call all of them Mister, but I liked all of them. They was like funny. And he was like, he called my name. It's like, what happened? That's how he said, what happened? You always get it when you practicing. What happened? Not realizing, like, I was under severe attack again. Like, they just did not want me to get it. Like, because when I came to practice, or when I came to training, I was like the bag lady. But when I came back, like a new creation, I was my regular self, because I was able to get my contacts back and stuff like that. And so when I walked up, this guy was like, who is that? And they was like, that's so-and-so. And they was like all in shock, because it wasn't like I looked 100% different, but I just wasn't combing my hair. I had on a raggedy matted wig. I just wasn't I didn't want to be bothered. I'm just going to be real. And I said that I don't want to be bothered. I want to get this and I want to go about my business. And so when I went and sat over there, because I was already annoyed and angry, here she come, the crazy one from number one, crazy one, not the booth thief. She come. Actually, all of them were sitting there, all of them. And the second time I started crying, and then the witch from Trinidad, she came, and I don't know why she brought her behind over there. I almost said something else. I don't know why she came over there, and I felt my armor come on. I think that was like the very first time she kind of touched me, because when the boot thief sat by me, sometimes I feel pains to let me know that they're doing like deep witchery. It's a different feeling. And so, and people try to connect themselves to you. It's not to be. Y'all, I be blocking in spirit. Like, the Papa don't play about me. I'm telling you, he don't play about me. And so, she came over there and she hugged me and she put her head to my head. We're not even friends. We're nothing. I don't know y'all. And she came because she felt I was weak, but I felt my armor come on. And so that was my second time. The third time, I went hard in prayer. And that's when I started telling Papa, you. But before that, the second time, I was angry because they was talking filth. She brought her loud behind over there, and she was like, using all this filthy profanity. I was like, and I just spazzed. I jumped up. I said, I am sick of this. I said, you say you're a pastor. I'm sick of this. I don't want to hear this. I said, we here to learn. And I don't remember what else I said. I began to speak in the spirit in front of them fools. All of them stopped and looked at me like I was crazy, and I didn't care. I went and I walked on the other side to cool off, because I was mad. And before I left, I sat down a moment, because what made me mad was when she came by me and she went to step over my feet, and I jumped up so quick, and I was like, don't step over me. And the guy, he came in, grabbed my arm, I threw my book bag on the floor, on the ground. I just was really angry, because I'm like, I can't stand when people pretend to be like they're a follower of Christ, and then that's what make people look true believers in Jesus look crazy, because y'all choose to believe the lies and not go by people's actions. Their fruit bear, and her fruit bared. She was just a nefarious dog is what she was. And so I walked across, that's when I walked across the thing to cool down. I came back, and silence. Everybody was shocked. And so after that, I stopped talking to everybody. I just moved away from them, period. And so the guy, he was from where I'm from too, and he was like, said that I don't want to be around them. I was like, it ain't that. And I was thinking, I don't want to hear all that. So I stayed where I was. It was hot out there on top of that, and I don't like the heat. And so bad as it was, we was sweating. I was about 5 shades darker, which I loved it. I love my tan. And so moving on, it was a lot of distractions, and they were deliberate. So once I failed the second time, I went back to my room. I prayed. I stayed away from them. And the papa instructed me on what to do. He said, when I go, I drove that day. He said, don't say nothing to nobody. Because they had already planned. When you receive them, you're receiving what they're doing to you. So he often would tell me, don't say anything to this person or that person. And if I do say something, it'll be what he gave me, and it'll tick them off, because then it lets them know I know what they're doing. And so when I got there, I stayed away from everybody. I didn't say nothing to nobody. If somebody spoke, I put my hand up and I went over to where they were doing backing and stuff. I did my pre-trip on the truck, and I went and sat over by myself. When they came over there, I moved from by them. I didn't say nothing to them. And so when it was time for me the third time and final time to take my test, I stayed away from everybody until it was my time. They called me over. I went over. She bring her behind over here and started arguing with my instructor, or the inspector that was going to do my final backing test, because I couldn't drive until I did my backing test. And so or completed my backing test. And so he was like, well, just let her go first. She wanted to go before me where I was, deliberately, so that she can curse that area so I wouldn't get it and make it difficult for me. So I prayed, and once I got a little tripped up for a moment, I stopped. I went hard in prayer. I cried a little, and I told the papa. I reminded him of what he said to me. And so I hit it. After that, I hit it. Got it in there, and I went walking back up, and he was like, did you do it? And I just gave him a thumbs up and kept it moving. And it's a few of them, the new people, started like yelling, and I did like that, and went in the building, got my packet, because it was time for the driving. So I did my driving part, and it was easy peasy, because driving is like, I love driving. So I did real well on the driving. Not funny, haha, but this is crazy, because the majority of them, they failed the driving part. A lot of people failed the backing part several times too, because it's new for us. But a lot of them failed the driving part, and it was just the weirdest thing. To me, that was weird to me, for you to fail driving versus backing. Backing is like, it's not like you're backing a car. You gotta back this 53 foot up in a little space. Make sure not to hit nothing around you. And so once I got my packet, I went back to the room, because they pretty much kick you out of the room and right away. And I think they let me stay. I think they let me stay one more night. I stayed one more night, and then that's when I hit the road, got my stuff together so that I can get a truck. So let me see. Did I tell everything? So about the last witch from Trinidad, the one that came and hugged me, put her head to my head, and then called the witch her aunt witch and another warlock. She failed completely. She didn't make it out of the class, because you don't want to come against me. That's what it is. And that's what the papa said to me. And so she wasn't the only one. I'm sure some of them probably have moved on by now and all of that. I did see one, the guy, he wasn't right either. He gonna hit me in the back of the head talking about it was a bug. But all they do is curse people. That's all they do. They want you to want them. They want you to chase them down. And so I saw him like almost a year or so later. He didn't see me. And he probably wouldn't have recognized me if he saw me. And I turned my back. How about I felt breaking when he got out the truck and walked into the plaza. And the papa let me know that when he hit me on the back of the head, that's what he was doing. And he was a nasty dog. I'm not going to tell what he did, but he did something very disgusting to me when he was there. I don't know what the papa wanted me to say. He put his private on my arm, and I moved from by him. But I didn't tell on him, but I moved from by him. And I'm just like, people are just so disgusting. It's like, that was their focus. That's all they talked about the entire time, was sex, and a lot of profanity, and just a bunch of filth. And I remember saying, and I know they heard me, if Jesus come right now and the sky crack open, I wonder who's going with him. And then after that, I just moved. I just tried to stay away from them as much as possible. And so there was one more thing I needed to say. There is a part 2 to the story. And oh, the last thing, the Crazy Rich #1 from the beginning. When I finished, she was sitting on a bench. She should have been gone because she finished and she should have been gone. She was sitting on a bench when I went back to the hotel and asked me if I passed. I gave her a thumbs up and kept it moving. I ain't say nothing to her. She was like, oh, that's good. I did not entertain that. And so that's part 1 of the training story. I still have a little bit more to tell, but I'm not ready to share that yet. And so this was longer than the rest of the stuff, but I told you guys that I was going to share this and I didn't. So that's part 1, and part 2 will come eventually. Jesus be with you all. Thank you for watching. Until the next video, y'all.